This video provides a brief insight into the lives of some black and minority ethnic people who settled in Bath during the 1950s and 1960s. They share their experiences through recollections of their lives. Most of them received an invitation from the British government to come to the mother country to help rebuild her. Everyone who appears on this video is a member of the Bath Ethnic Minority Senior Citizens Association, BEMSCA. This was formed in 1993 to provide a luncheon club, information and advice service to the Caribbean, Asian and Chinese elders in Bath. From opening 1 day a week at Riverside Youth and Community Centre, the opening times were increased to 2 days, Monday and Friday. In 1995, BEMSCA moved to a new home at Fairfield House in Kelston Road. Tell me about the advertisements. What were they like?
You were seeing adverts on the radio every day, inviting people to come to England, to the mother country they call it. They wanted nurses and conductors and all that sort of thing.
People to work.
Well, that's really
other industries.
And they were saying that the streets were paved with gold.
and we won't put in.
Did you believe it? You believed it?
Well, then
we did. Yeah.
Well, we just wanted to see people how
London
the other
was
half
paved with
live.
gold.
You know,
And we hear that how small Barbados was, yet to us it seemed big. But so we've never seen a big country, so it was an experience to come here and see what a big country looked like.
Tell us about how you came here.
Came all the way from Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, on to Spain.
Gosh.
And then from Spain we went down to Italy, take the ferry across the continent,
Okay.
come off at Dover, ended up at
What year was that?
1955.
I was manager for sugar plantation.
Okay, in Antigua or in
Barbados.
In Barbados. Okay.
And I had to go to Gainesville, Florida, to study that
Okay.
before I got the job in Barbados.
When did you first come to Bath? And why did you choose Bath?
That's a long story. You need more than 20 minutes, I can tell you.
All right then. Well, I've got the time.
I was in London. Still
Okay.
in London for about 4 months. And I just could not get on with the hustle and bustle in London. I used to work for the Havilland Aircraft in Edmonton.
Okay. What job were you doing there?
It was engineering,
Okay.
and that wasn't part of my line anyway. But the bit of it that really got to me was getting to work and farm.
Yeah.
I used to live in Finsbury Park.
Okay.
Bus, train station, bus.
Okay.
And it's one man bus, which is something that I wasn't accustomed to.
Yeah.
And so 2 weekends after I had the job, I stayed with them for about 3 or 4 weeks. I think I can't remember correctly. But after that, I said to my wife, look, I'm fed up with this, so I'm going to see what the countryside is like. And one Friday evening, I went to Paddington, number 1 platform, train was there puffing smoke, and I just walked on. Haven't a clue where he was going. That was 1956. Halfway down the line, the conductor, as I know he is now, came on, tickets please, and I never had a ticket. So I said to him, well, I haven't got one. He said, well, where are you going? I said, well, I haven't a clue. So I said, tell me what your stops are. And he started these stops. Reading, Swindon, Chipman, Bath, Bristol. And as you get to Bath, I thought, well, that's me. Because I had a friend who used to live in Bath. So what he did is, he gave me, not a ticket, I didn't have to pay him. He gave me, which was something that, because at the time, there was a gate. Remember, there was a gate there. So you couldn't get out unless you give them your ticket. You see, now, I mean, you can walk down the stairs, no problem. And what I had to do was give him the shit that he gave me to say where he got on the thing. And then they tell me how much I had to pay them.
And they came here for what reason? Why?
Well, I suppose like everybody else, they were going to come here, work, save some money, and in 5 years' time, go back.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way.
They wanted people to work,
Yeah.
and it was advertising every day. Come and help your mother country.
The nurse
And then when you come, then you was told you're taking other people's jobs.
Because some people came here and they haven't been back to their country. Yeah, some of them have died here and never been back to their country. And that's the truth.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Times was really hard. Years ago, times were really hard.
Tell me about those times.
Because those times, well, I didn't find it as hard as a lot of people. But lots of people say they were like 6 in one room, or the rooms were like doing shift work.
Okay.
When 3 was in, 3 was out. One lot worked nights and the other lot worked days. Just to get some money
Yes.
so that they could send back for their children or family. They said it was really, really hard then.
Yes.
But I came here and I was well catered for because my aunt and uncle-in-law had bought a house already, so there were rooms already in it. But they told me it was very hard before that. I didn't come till 1961.
Okay. And when did your uncle?
Oh, they came in the 50s.
Uh-huh.
They were here 55, 6.
Uh-huh. And where did they come to? Where did they arrive?
They arrived here in Bath. They lived in Bath all their lives until they went back to Barbados.
That's a room or something like that. And he went there to get one. And the one said, oh yes, we have got flats here, but I am afraid there's some my dogs. But when I look and see the black face of my brother, he said the room is for the dogs.
The dogs?
Because when we came to this country, accommodation was scarce. And of course, you'll find you'll ring up for a premises which is for let, and they'll say to you, come along. But as soon as you arrive and you were black, they would lend the premises to you, which is a common thing really.
The first place you rented was where? Okay. Okay.
And we stayed there, and then he was a very nice person. We stayed there for quite a while, and then my wife became pregnant. And of course, the rooms we had was really not suitable for children, and so we started looking around for a flat. And wherever you turn, you see loads of flats advertised around Bath. But you turn up and knock on the door, and as soon as you open the door and see you, the flat's gone.
Yes.
That has been this for years.
Person would advertise the room, and then you read it and go to the door to tell you, as soon as you see it is a colour, oh sorry, it's taken. And it never was taken, because you would still see it in the papers. So the Polish is who used to buy these houses and offer a room, so you was lucky. That house had to cook on one cooker. And for me to have a bath or a shower, I had to go through the lowered kitchen to get to that bathroom. And she would tell me, while I am in this kitchen, I'm afraid you can't come through. So you couldn't get a wash nor a bath, not once. She was occupying her kitchen. So I was saying, what I had to do is buy a basin, hot the water up, put it in a basin, take it to my room, and go in and try and have my wash. I expect she was wondering, seeing me with this basin of water daily, going in, wonder what she's doing to take her water into the room. So she wanted to know. So I was in there, stripped bone naked, having my wash, and the door just pushed open just like that, because it had no key. She never gave you a key to that room, and she came in. And I thought when she'd see what was happening, she would have said, excuse me, and go back out. But she stood up there, and she won't move. And I couldn't do nothing more than be on the bedhead of the bedhead and hide, because I was really naked, and I couldn't do nothing more. And she was standing there.
Was she in English?
She was Polish. She was Polish, and that was the first. Well, it was very embarrassing for me, believe me, because I couldn't answer her rudely. I didn't ask her out. I didn't know what to do. She's standing there, I'd be on the bedhead hiding. I couldn't do that. The song was the steel band. So he decided, right, if the band can go out and do some gigs and do it for nothing, then they would get the money that would be offered for the gigs. They would put it all together and get a deposit, and then they would try with that deposit and get a house and give to make it into flats, and then they would give the four of the same band members a flat each. So, right. So they did that. He accumulated what little money was given and got a deposit and put it down on a house then.
Where was the house?
12 Burlington Street.
Oh, brilliant.
Right? And then it was given to 4 of the steel band members, a flat each.
Brilliant.
Right? And then eventually, they then decide they would sell that house. So as Hallam was the founder of the band, they gave him the first preference. So he then bought the house.
In the West Indies, everybody have their own house for their family. And sharing a kitchen or bathroom facilities was very strange to us. So that's what impelled us mostly to buy your own place. But then we get accused of coming here and buying places and stopping people from buying them, where they were given away before and they didn't want any. Yes, you know, they say, how come you could buy a house? How come you could do this? Because we save up our money, but when they get theirs, they go in the pub, drink it out.
I was selling, you know, so I asked this chopper selling the bike, was good. And he said, he want £6 for it. So you ever tell this white bloke about it? And I said, but only getting £9 a whole week for that. And he said, we can't take it to $4.50. So I tell the white bloke what I was working with, and I tell him what happened. He said, Sinclair, too dear. I'm going to get it cheaper for you. And anyhow, he paid to the white man for $1.50. Right? $1.50 sell the white man. And the white man said, Sinclair, when you come here in this country and you're black, they sell you the prices dear, trouble. You know? The white man come and buy from you. It's cheap, you see. But once you're black here and you buy, you will be paid much more for the thing. And he buy from me.
So he was your friend?
He invited me 150. And he said, Mr. Sinclair, I'm not going to give you straight away. I'm going to take it to him in about a week or so. A week till you to have it back on.
Are there any things about Bath that you particularly like?
I like Bath because of the relationship that we have more or less created ourselves amongst our fellow Jamaicans and Trinidadians who came in the early part.
Bajans?
But yeah, or West Indians basically. And because when we came here, the culture was so different and we had to make our own entertainment. And then again, we were out of each other's house every day actually, you know, and so it went on.
What are your first experiences of Bath?
Well, I arrived here on the weekend, which was on Friday evening, and it took me some time to get my friend that I thought was here. I couldn't get hold of him, and the chap who took me. When I came out the railway station and walked up the street, there's a chap I met, and I asked him if there's any, colored people around, and he said, well, he knows one that goes to the same club as he does, and it was a weightlifting club.
Which club was it?
A weightlifting club.
Oh, okay.
And he called me. Straight away, I recognized him, and that's my name. And we went up to this club, and he wasn't in me to be seen. When I said to him, well, look, I'm going to find somebody to stay with me. He took me up to his parents' place. They had a big house. And he put me up for the evening. Put me up for the night. They were Welsh. And the next morning, right next door, he found a new bed and breakfast. And eventually, the landlady let us a room, which was okay. And when I phoned back to London, my wife went berserk. But it's just one of those things.
So tell me about the party house then.
Oh yeah, we had parties at the house, yeah. Very nice parties. People come around because we had a basement. Because you couldn't get halls in them days.
Why?
And we had a lovely basement.
Why couldn't you get halls?
Well, they never went. We even know it's so hard to get. They used to complain about the noise. You could see them giving colored people a hall. And then it was hard to get everything. So I had a big basement. And, well, more or less the Hallam would do the steel band down there. And then occasionally we would have a party. And all our friends would come. And we have a great good time. Cook our West Indian food and eat it. And go down in the basement and dance away the night.
Sounds like fun.
I had the room for it. I had a big basement.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
House parties in the evenings at Mrs. Oldfield, and nice dances in her basement, and everybody sort of, we work all week and weekend. We go and have music and food and dance and meet each other that you didn't see for a while. And
Were
it
those
was
parties
lovely.
open to everybody, or?
Yeah.
And everybody came?
Well, yes, we used to have, of course, people that heard the music and didn't know what was going on, was very inquisitive, and he used to ring the police and say to come, there's noise going on, but then the police used to come in and enjoy themselves as well. Used to come in and dance and just say, just turn the music down a bit. And they would come in and have a good time, and we'd be going home in the morning when the milkman is putting the milk at the door. And we go in on a Sunday morning all glary-eyed, start cooking just the same, and you might go to church or you fall into bed in the afternoon.
Yeah, because I can't remember having any.
So what job did your wife start off doing here?
A nurse.
Okay.
She did that for 2 years.
Where was she nursing?
In London to start with.
Okay.
And then she came to Bath. And then she finished that. She just got fed up with that. So she just gave it all up. She still got pretty good knowledge of that.
Yeah.
She did it for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And then she started being secretary, was started a big engineering firm.
Okay.
Then she left there and she went to secretary work for a legal firm before she went into the law.
Good.
Seeking a job where I could attend school in engineering.
Okay.
And I was sent out to Westinghouse, breaking signal,
Okay.
where I worked for a while and then attended evening classes.
Okay.
And then I started moving on.
Okay. What job did you do there, did you say?
I was in engineering, working on capstans.
Okay, excellent. And then where did you move on to?
I moved on to Maven Rubber Company. Worked there for about 20 years.
Okay. Engineering again, was it?
No, this is tire building, tire manufacturer, yeah? I left there, I went to Stoddard Pitts, engineering again.
Okay.
And then I left Stoddard Pitts.
And how long were you there?
For about 4 years at
4 years, okay.
But I ended up at Portal in Barford. And this is a company that makes security paper for making pound notes and visas or something like that. And then I got fed up and I decided I wanted to still live with Jamaica, so I went over 12 years.
12 years in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then I came back.
He was working in the engineering factory and I was working at the hospital.
What job was he doing in the factory?
He was doing engineering, painting and stuff in the factory, and I was doing nursing at the hospital, St. Martin's. So after we had the children, I worked nights and he worked days. Just, it wasn't no child care and thing as plentiful as it is now. So we had to work nights and days to look after the children.
Like Hervey School, I didn't have a lot of trouble with the kids in school really, because the school wasn't far from Burlington Street. And well, put it this way, my kids never come in and complain of much with the schools. They never. I only know I went to the school once, and this was with my son who went to the art school in Weston. And I think there were only 2 blacks there at the time. And I know it did have to get there because a boy was actually bullying him at that art school. So I had to get there to see the schoolmaster about that and get that straightened out. But the others, I never went to the school because they never come home and tell me they were getting bullied or nothing. So I would say things was look all right. If they did, they didn't come home and say, you know, so I never went to the school. But I has heard them said that there was a little crowd who used to stick together, and if they tried it on one, the others would be there to support them. They had to live that way.
I remember one parent in particular got into a wrangle with my children, and the mother, I called her on the way to school, taking her to school. I called to her for satisfaction to tell her what her child had did among it. And she just looked at the child, she just looked at me and said that her child and tell her, if they hit you, hit them back. and then this mother went on and say, oh, why don't you go back to your own country and things like that. No, it was another mother now, her son and my son had a disagreement, and I called to her for satisfaction as well. And this mother, she was different, completely different. She said to her son, "You wait until I get you home." And then after that, I don't know what, she must have given him a good toll, or she didn't tell him nothing but go back to our country or nothing like that. She just chastised her child, and then my son and her son was the best of friends after that.
When I was living down Locksbrook Road, first that's where all the children were more or less born.
Yeah.
And the school down there they used to go to, they were the only black faces go to those schools. And believe me, they had hassles.
One was gained a scholarship to King Edward School, one of the better schools in Bath. And graduated from there.
Good. Good. And what does he do now?
Media. He's in media now.
Now I can remember when we were growing up, of course, we stuck together as black children, because you were more supported then. If we went anywhere, it was that sort of group. Eventually things started to happen that that this was a place to go, you were safe there. You went out, I can remember several incidents, in the centre of town, being in town and people calling you names, as young as I was. And
how old were you?
I think I was about 17, but even before that, 16, I remember moving to Trowbridge. I worked in Boyers, and then there was a lot of black people worked at Boyers. And the thing that they literally put up with certain things, which I couldn't understand, which I didn't see in Bath, because Bath, I don't think we really had that as much. And then, people would call them, I don't know, they'd say things to them, because you had that program, Love Thy Neighbor used to be on, and there was there were certain program, and people would come with certain talks, and they would talk to them in such a way, and yet they just laughed it off and laughed. But when they were together, they would curse these people. But at the time, they never said anything. And I always find that thinking, why do you let them talk to you like that? And I think from us growing up, we said, well, nobody's going to talk to me like that. But then you still had it, because my worst thing was one day, I remember I was pregnant, I had a kidney infection, I was on my way to the doctor, and I was standing at the edge of a road to cross over, and a van drove by, and all of a sudden there was this water in my face, and all I could remember hearing was this laughter. And as I stood there, I think the blood ran from my head to my foot, because I couldn't understand this guy. It was after, that could have been bleach, that could have been acid, that could have been anything. And I could still hear the laughter, even when they had gone, I could hear the laughter.
And even at school and things, the children used to get called names.
Oh, yes.
And go back to where they come from. And even the children that are born here, they used to tell them go back where they come from.
So why do you not go to church? No.
We come here and start going to church. As soon as you walk into church, the first thing the reverend start preaching is about darkest Africa and the same thing that you're accustomed seeing in the newspaper daily.
Tell me about the church when you first came here.
The church, we were welcome in the churches,
Yeah.
Christ Church on Julian Road we were welcome into. And when I moved to Orford Park, the vicar there, I met him in the garden outside the church. And I said to him, "Are you the vicar of this church?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Because I've just moved to Orford Park and I like my daughter christened." And he said, "Oh, we'll do that for you as soon as you want." And he used us to come, Mr. Phillipson used us to come. We got very friendly. And he was a big man, really big man. And he'd come up sometimes and roll on the floor with the kids.
What you're seeing here today is the best thing we're enjoying about our retirement.
Good.
Because facilities for us to socialize are very rare.
Yeah.
And our West Indians, we like a game of domino. And this is where we do gather together regularly to sort of enjoy the culture, so to speak.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. So if you can tell me why there's very little integration between the different groups, that'd be very useful.
Again, it's down to choices. Why the groups don't mix. You know, we had age concern here, and we had our other members go. We had Caribbean, we had an Iranian lady that went. When you go to clubs like that, you're isolated because there's not another person similar to you who is sitting there. Languages, culture is different. So they're sitting there quite happily singing Roll Out the Barrel and all those sort of songs. You're used to a little calypso, a little reggae music. And a story, I worked in a home, a residential home, and there was a gentleman there, loved his music. He was a music man. And one day I remember putting on a tape in the hallway, because they always had those old tapes playing that the English people would recognize. And I put on a reggae tape and asked me to turn it off because nobody understood that. Now that person lived in that home, that person had the right to be able to hear that music. But because it's not what you're used to, because things are set up, orientated for different groups of people. And I'm sure many black people did not see themselves actually going into homes anyway, or living in a home environment like that. So I think now it may seem that we're not mixing, but in years to come, I can see us moving on more, where we will be moving into those sort of homes. Maybe pictures on the walls will be different. Maybe color schemes will be different to incorporate that. And I think we need to be looking forward for that. In about 10 to 15 years, it will be more so, more people that be getting care and will need that sort of different sort of environment as well. But at the moment, it's not a lack of not wanting to mix. It's, you know, because we do encourage people to come to us. You know, that sounds a different way as well, instead of we going to them. But we do it within this group. If you were here this morning, you would have seen the English side of this group. They're here for specific thing, to do 2 hours of work, and then they're gone. If our members come in 2 hours, it's 4 hours, because they enjoy being together. They don't have a time scale. And I think that is what would probably differentiate between the groups, is that we just take everything slowly and enjoy, where some people just have set targets.
My year's been very good. It's been hard sometimes, but they have been good years.
On top the shelf, they get so fresh up and beside themselves, praising up their name, slapping their chest, trying to make people believe them is the best. So I had to show them I'm still in control, the supreme calypso king of the world. Any young upstart decide to dispute that fact, remind them survival and both